Hi friends, big cut. Brain is creating a thought. This is called Buen Piso. I'm presenting facts again. As I say ad nauseum, religion is one of the schizophrenias. Believing God, created by the brain, is like an HIV of the neural array. Lays dormant. It infects certain people. And of course, not every brain is created equal. We all have our own DNA. Genetics, science, evolutionary biology. And of course, neuroscience. The brain creates thought and is product of coitus. And religion is simply a neurological disorder, no different than schizophrenia, and expressed in churches, mosques, and synagogues. Look at this. And he lays dormant because everybody that is religious and believing God is like HIV positive, HIV-B, human immunodeficient brain virus. Because the brain is susceptible to viruses, and viruses can control our thinking, our reasoning. Viruses and microbes, they do control the brain and the behavior of people. And that's a fact. And now look at this. This is just to show you one example of Christ Psychosis. Christ is a resurrected anointed Savior, a title. And of course, psychosis is the defect of the brain that makes them accept irrational, bizarre mathematical beliefs as they were true. In other words, apophiba, imaginary friend or foe, irrational belief acceptance. At the core of all religions and the core of schizophrenia and many, many other neurological disorders. And here, you see this. Very good example. And today is the 14th of April of 2015.
Images of a rising ceremony.
¿Quién es ese niño?
Pues Benjamín. Benjamín es
A witness who identified the child as Benjamin said she knew his mom since she was pregnant with him. The woman on the video with the child in her arms is Araceli Mesa, identified by witnesses as the pastor of a church called Iglesia Congregacional Pueblo de Dios that operates from her home in Balch Springs. According to the witnesses, the pastor said that the child was possessed by demons. She also said he went without food for 25 days before he died.
El nombre de Jesús Todopoderoso y lo unjo con aceite.
In the name of Jesus, he used oils to try to bring him back to life. She speaks in tongues during the ceremony, which lasted for hours. She invokes Jesus to give breath to the child.
See that? Speaking in tongues. And these people are not committed. And this happens in all churches. All of them. Happens in all religions. It's just like Islam. 73 sects. And of course, people don't go cutting heads of people and killing people in Islam. No, but certain sects do when they become full-blown with the disorder. Same thing happened in Christianity. In Christ Psychosis, you look at the Crusades, look at Christian Hitler, look at the Inquisitions, look at the Jews being persecuted because they were Christ killers. Not all Christians do that. Some are peaceful and they go over there, but they're still psychotic. They go to church and they bow and they believe in this stuff. So the same thing happened in all religions, psychosis. Happening in Hinduism, same thing. Not all of them, they're going in a rampage killing people, but when they become full-blown, when the disorder becomes full-blown, they do that. And this is what happened here. This is full-blown Christ Psychosis.
At the end of the video, she cried and said that she's in tears because all that happened.
Todo esto que han pasado.
Carlos Zapata, Telemundo.
See, these Christ Psychosis infected schizophrenics suffering from this religious psychosis, from Christ Psychosis, they don't understand that prayers do not work. Do not work. And they get all this nonsense and theocratic, moronic delusions in churches. Churches reading the stupid Bible, the only book that they read over and over and over, believing is true, that's what they teach people. The stupid Bible, I've been doing this for 1700 years. And it's not true. This stuff is false. It doesn't work. And the only thing that works and can you actually save you from the psychosis of God belief is just seeing a neurologist. And a mentally healthy, in other words, an atheist neuroscientist that can actually fix your brain and cure you and save you from the psychosis of God belief. That's what they don't understand. Prayers don't work. Science does. And all of this happened where? Christianity infected Texas. They are reading of only one book. They believe the Bible to be correct. It's like a Winnie the Pooh. It's like believing any mythologist to be correct. There are many Bibles, there are only one, like there are many schizophrenias. There are only one. They had nothing to do with intelligence. Because a lot of these crazy people can be very intellectual. Francis Collins is one of them, for instance, and he's in the Genome Project. So mental illness does not discriminate. Diseases, they do not discriminate. And it's all here in Texas. Why are these people allowed to have centers of infection, which are churches? What are churches good for? They're all centered on the belief that there is a somebody, the name Jesus Christ, that created everything, and that he also created man, and created rib man, and a mud man and a rib woman, and they put him in a garden, and they told him you can have everything you want, you never have disease, you live eternally, and all that stuff. Very good, but don't eat from this tree. That's mine. That belongs to me. Don't eat anything. So anyway, of course, zombie Jesus created also the devil. But he actually created a great angel one time. And then he created this great angel named Lucifer. Which, by the way, Lucifer means a bringer of light. It's actually the planet Venus. Lucem Ferra in Latin. But anyway, so he created that. But this angel, he got the other angels and said, wait a minute, we can be as good as God is. He created us, but we can be as a power. And that, of course, he has started fighting against angels that are fighting against God. And God got really pissed off and says, no, you're going to be in hell and you're a demon. But see, it's kind of amazing because God's supposed to be all knowledgeable, all knowing, and he gave the devil free will. But the angel turned into a devil, into Satan, and because fighting him, so he became center of evil. So this is how psychotic and confused Christ psychotic infected imbeciles are. So therefore, God created evil. And God doesn't know anything because he should have known that he was going to create this imperfect thing that turns against him, Satan. But anyway, so he created mud man and rib woman, put them in a garden, and then of course there was Satan that turns into a snake, which, by the way, the snake is the equivalent of a penis, which is the creator. We are all created by a penis. No exceptions. We are created by spit of cum DNA from our father's penis, Christ. It's all evolutionary biology. It's science. Science. Everything evolves. The sperm evolves. If the sperm doesn't evolve and it contains microbes and viruses and all that, develop in the brain, 9 months later, we emerge out of a flooded cave and we get this spirit, which is the oxygen in our lungs. And then we emerge as we start crying like little babies. And then we get the imprinting period, the knowledge. We get this, the air, and then we start learning and learning and learning this imprinting period when they're days old for a few months and a year. So imprinting period, learning cultural language of our parents. And then, see, the Christ Psychotic infected imbeciles believe that of course, that after Adam and Eve, took the fruit, the forbidden fruit from a talking snake, then, the angel came around and said, you have committed a sin and you're condemned. You're going to suffer disease and all that. You have to fend for yourself. You have to work and you have to do all that. And, of course, that's the Old Testament, the Jewish psychotic, Talmud. And it's a long story, but it's all mythology crap. But then comes Jesus Christ. Then God himself again turned into, got a body from a virgin. There was, he developed a body. There was his spirit, which is an invisible penis Christ in the shape of air. And he created and fertilized an egg of Mary, this Jewish maiden, which is all bullshit, of course. And then she spewed him. All of a sudden, he didn't break the hymen, and then she's still a virgin, and he was born, and then the story of Jesus Christ, which he created, this God created a body so he can offer to himself in sacrifice to redeem the sin of Adam and Eve. It's interesting, isn't it? Then he knew that he was going to be killed, and he wanted to be killed in this cross with his blood redeemed from the sin committed by Adam and Eve. This is Christianity for you guys, which is a psychosis. And it's only one version. There's many versions. Believe in God is a mental disease, like an HIV of the brain. Let's keep that in mind. So it is the worst cancer of the brain is religious psychosis. The brain creates all these thoughts. And when it's malfunctioning, it creates the mythologies, accepting them as reality. I for fever. And if you believe in God, you're a theotard, you have a problem with your brain, regardless of intelligence. Okay, a neural array operation in the precuneus and locus coeruleus will actually prove my point. A lobotomy will remove Christian imbeciles. The psychosis of Christianity will be removed by a simple operation in the brain. Or giving you mirtazapine and Zoloft and different chemicals that will actually, when you ingest them, you'll forget about your religious psychosis. Proving my point. So, the fact is, and if you watch my videos, you will understand. I've been doing videos since 2007, explaining, connecting all the dots, explaining all the things. All kind of science, we have to connect everything. Because there is not only one religion. There are thousands of religious psychosis, which is a form of psychosis. And a person that doesn't believe in imaginary friends, that is able to tell between fact and fiction and ask questions and is inquisitive, is mentally healthy. In other words, is an atheist. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's very important to keep in mind, because United States of America is a Christianity-affected nation. It's filled with churches. And churches are good for nothing. They're centers of infection that keep people theotarded. And the word I created, theotarded, means theo or deus means God. The same word is used for day, dia is God. And a means without. Or ana is also without. It's a prefix that means, from the Latin and Greek, that means without something. So you say, atheos means without belief in God. But we have to understand what is God. In reality, God is the cock of our dads. The creator is the penis. I call it Christ, because Christ means anointed Savior. And our penis must be anointed and revered. And when they are anointed with oil, because that's what we spit, and we pass our genes, we spit, semen, and DNA. And that's science. So when you say atheist, means no belief in God. But God is an apophiba. God, apophiba means imaginary friend or foe, irrational belief, acceptance. I don't use the word God. I don't like to use the word God because God means anything. It's like saying I don't believe in X. I don't believe in Z. It's like algebra. You know. So I say apophiba, which is the accepting of these irrational beliefs to be reality. And when you accept these irrational beliefs to be reality, you are symptomatic. You have a problem with your brain. Are symptomatic of schizophrenia, temporal lobe epilepsy, trauma to the brain, lack of oxygen, and high temperatures. All these affect your brain and make you be delusional. And in the moment you're delusional, you accept all these delusions to be reality. This is exactly what happens under schizophrenia or under drugs. Psychotropic drugs makes you do the same thing. Religion is like a psychosis. It's an anomaly of the brain that acts like if you were on drugs, but you're not. And it happens many times when your lack of sleep, for instance, can do that to you. Many things. So atheism means lack of apophiba, or no apophiba, in other words, sanity, and you're mentally healthy atheist. So for your information, that's what it means. But it is devastating. All the churches in the United States are keeping people filtered and ignorant and stupid and deluded. And nobody, even atheists, mentally healthy atheist scientists, never mentioned the brain. Bill Nye never mentioned the brain. He's discussing creationism with the psychosis infected imbecile, Christ Psychosis infected imbecile, Ken Ham, of this creation nonsense. And when you're a creationist, you believe in the Bible, you believe in that, and all this nonsense. It's like believing 2 + 2 = any number that you think it is, except for 4, which is the truth. And Bill Nye doesn't mention, he's just wasting his time. Dawkins, the same thing. Harris, the same thing. A letter to a Christian nation, that's the stupidity. The man is clueless. It might be, I don't know where he got his degree in psychology or neurology from, because he's clueless, he's blind. He should study other science and religion and history and all that and connect dots. And religious beliefs are mental illness, and Christianity is the worst of all of them. And this is what these people don't understand. And this is the reason why I have this, show you these clips that make my point. So that's the way it is. We have to realize that God is cock. And the people, the priests, rabbis, priests, bishops, anybody that deals with these imaginary friends, they should be called infectors, because they infect the brain of children. So a priest is an infector, and you get your infection in churches, in synagogues, in mosques, and you are under the guidance of an infector. And that's what a priest is, which is disgusting. It started in the Middle Ages. And at the center of everything else is sex, because they get horny, and they, even if they consider it a sin, they want to have sex, either with males or females. It doesn't matter. But male and females, and that's the reason you have all this molestation in all type of religion. It's all with religion. It goes along with molestation. All of them have it. All of them molest children. All these cults, like Koresh and Jim Jones and all these different cults. And the ones here that are mentioned by Walsh, which is clueless, the man is clueless, they all have all these girls married to Christ and all that anointed. Well, the Catholic priests do that. In the moment that you bow and you're doing this, you're committing fellation in the original Egyptian religion, and it transformed, mutated, and into all this. So that's why you cannot separate sex from religion. They are one and one. You can take religion out of sex nowadays, but you can never take sex or sacred sex out of religious beliefs. And all religions have it, all of them, because God is cock. Cock bless. That's the way you should say it. Scott Stapp, this Christ Psychotic infected imbecile, like all Christians, people of faith psychosis, they don't understand the true life after death. And a mentally healthy, in other words, atheist scientists do not realize what life after death is. Because the truth hides in plain sight. They should begin first with the fact that the brain creates, that we're product of coitus, product of sex, product of a fuck, and the brain emerges blank, and the brain is the creator of the mind. Any atheist scientist should say that. That's number one. That's the truth. That's an indisputable fact. We create all the thinking with the brain. And another fact, that when the brain is sick, only can produce sick thinking. Religion is one of these schizophrenias. It's a very, very dangerous cancer of the brain. It's right there. It's proving in neurology. A lobotomy will cure any moronic, stupid, Christ Psychotic infected imbecile or schizophrenic or any of these people with the brain defect of their beliefs. It will remove by manipulating the frontal lobes and also the temporal lobes too, but the frontal lobes, executive, you start removing this cognition, or the people will just completely will completely forget about their beliefs in imaginary friends. So it's the brain that is doing it. So the brain creates crazy thinking, and religious beliefs are crazy thinking. It's irrational, just like a schizophrenia, the same thing. Religion is one of these schizophrenias. And this is what this idiot doesn't understand. And a lot of Christians don't understand. The life after death is bacteria eating their remains. The bodies, everything shuts down. When the brain dies, the person dies. The self, the cognition, it all dies. It's no longer there anymore. It's bacteria. All the bacteria that we have in our bodies, we have viruses and bacteria, our relatives. Proven by DNA. 3 billion years of evolution. They were all covered with all these things. And then when we die, when the brain dies, which is us, the brain itself, and decomposes, the whole body decomposes. And immediately, all the cells start decomposing. All the viruses start taking over. Bacteria and all that stuff, in quantum space. Because, we're all full of atoms and particles of atoms and etc. We're universes inside. And they start decomposing. So life after death is the life of the bacteria and viruses that continues. So that's our life after death. Bacteria eating our rotten remains. And go like this. And our sphincters open up. It's just like that. The spirit liquid, which is air, leaves, exits the body. And we start decomposing. Everything starts decomposing and rotting and stinking. Our anal sphincter just opens up and all the bacteria and the waste comes out. Everything comes out. Our noses, everything, and we're like that. And recomposing and becoming a skeleton after a few years, and few more years, and 1,000 years, and 2,000 years, and 3,000 years. We're buried. We become nothing. We are another animal, another monkey, or another primate that is rotting away. It becomes nothing but bones and then dust. That's the reality, my friends. Enjoy it. Pace Diorum.
We experience death when we sleep, but 3,000 years later, I will look like this if mummified.